Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lou, and this is Metal Lens Reviews. Welcome to my channel. So, if this happens to be your first time here, you're checking it out, you like what you see, thank you. Please do me that favor of like, comment, subscribe. As I mentioned before, it really helps me grow the channel, spread it to the masses, and of course motivates me to provide you guys with more content. Alright, so, what are we doing? Well, we're going to be doing another one from Ghost. This is like 3 days old, I think. Lachryma. And this is going to be off their upcoming new album, Skeleta. It's very, very Latin words there I'm throwing at you. I think, anyway. But it's Ghost, so I'm going to presume that they're Latin-based. Anyway, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Ghost fan. I love the style. I love the vibe they push out. I love this ever-change style and appearance of the vocalist. Tobias, I think he's cool. I think he's super creative. And like I said, in an industry like this, you gotta be one step ahead, especially a very niche, selective audience, because their look doesn't look like how they, followed by the music. Like if I showed this to someone, the band image, to just someone randomly off the street, they would automatically go, oh, and they sound aggressive, right? And it's like this gothy kind of, almost romantic, dark, moody kind of music. So yeah, I guess in a sense that the image does kind of fit the music, but some people, right away they judge a book by its cover. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into here, because what I like about Ghost, yeah, it's an image. A Ghost song when you hear it, but is it the same all the time? Not quite. It does stand off, and they get a lot of brownie points from me for that. Just trying something different and lasting, and also having a legion of fans. That says something. So, all right, let me stop yapping. Cue this video up, and we're gonna check it out together. All right, guys. Once again, this is Ghost with Lachryma. See what I mean? Obviously seeing them live is probably an experience. I haven't, but I think their live videos and, just the theatrics of it kind of stands for itself. It's super impressive. And, you can't, even if you don't like it, you gotta appreciate this, because it's one thing getting up on stage, but pulling this image off in the summertime, imagine like, those big festivals like Download or Hellfest or whatever, when you're like a sea of like death metal bands and then Ghost is there. There's odds are half the audience is also probably there to see Ghost, if they're on the bill. My point is, to keep up an image. Like look at Slipknot. Now, to the outsider looking in, it's like, okay, they dress Halloween every day. I get it. Fits the music. But, when, Halloween ends at some point. The month, October goes away, and then you keep going, through all the other seasons and stuff. And Ghost, like I said, their season obviously screams Halloween, but it doesn't have to be. It just, they just exist. This is how we are, and that getup is, Tobias, the singer, change up that image. That's what kind of draws people in. Okay, what's going to be next? What else are we going to expect? How's he going to approach the singing style? As he did, a whole bunch of questions at the table. Like I said, I'm not the best authority to deep dive into Ghost. That's you guys. But, like I said, kind of an outsider looking in. I can appreciate that. And, yeah, I dig it. I like it. I'm here for it. Let's keep going. And I mean, like I said, this song in particular, like I said, I've haven't really dived into their albums like that. So I mean, this is probably my third Ghost song that I'm actually reacting to. But yeah, I mean, and what I like about it, as opposed to the other two, I mean, I like the other two too. Just that's crazy. I like the other two too. No, it's this has a kind of a heavier progressive style to it. It's not fucking thrash metal or whatever, but it's it's a little more drive, a little more push, and Ghost being Ghost, obviously they're gonna not ever do harsh vocals or whatever, because that just would be kind of like against the image there. But it's cool hearing those goth kind of style vocals and how he's able to change up his range and just kind of fit the music. But this I like, for the obvious reasons. It's Ghost being Ghost, obviously, but I don't know, it's a little heavier. It has a little more grit to it, and I like that. Kind of like a less heavier version of maybe Merciful Fate or King Diamond. I'm getting, I don't mean just by the appearance wise, just the kind of sound. Just without that high-pitched wailing, from King Diamond. But, Ghost is kind of like a beast of its own. You're either going to like him or you're not. I like to think of it as me as a spectator enjoying it, because it is, from what I've seen from live shows, obviously not just the massive fans that go to see them. It's a spectacle on stage. It's I wouldn't classify it as shock rock, like Alice Cooper or Rob Zombie. But no, it's a performance, and they've embodied, kind of like Slipknot. They've embodied the characters, and every new album kind of brings out a new outfit. And with them, Tobias does his thing. He brings out a new, interesting new theme, and they go with it, and it's cool. I think it's part of the longevity of the band. It's really important. Let's keep going.
I'm
it's one of those instances where it's like, okay, you dressed the part, but can you play the part? And, well, there you go. If you ever wondered, there's your answer right there. But obviously, I assume the people watching this are fans, or at least interested in Ghost, to hear me talk about them. Yeah, great. I mean, not just the image. Image is one thing, but you got to back that up in how you play. And everyone here is doing a fantastic goddamn job. They're just killing it. And like I said, that's what makes them, I guess, add to that longevity and, just keeping them around. Not just that theatrical aspect of them dressing and, having the lyrics that go with it and just all these factors that, keep them a little bit above the rest. Like I said, when I see them on bills of, these big, massive festivals and stuff, it's a mixed bag of bands. You have your hardcore bands, metal, black metal, and Ghost. You know what I mean? And I would kind of fit them in, like, if Typo Negative was still around, I would definitely see Ghost on that bill because that would kind of make sense. But then again, with rock, I wish there wasn't such a divide like that. Like, when I was growing up, it was like, you couldn't like emo and you couldn't like screamo if you liked Metallica or Slayer or whatever. It just didn't fit. But now, as I get older, a little bit wiser, and I can speak for myself now. Like what the hell. I'm glad those walls have kind of came down. Especially in the metal community. I mean, yeah, there's some biased opinions out there. People are going to like what they like and be really hardcore. But like I said, doing this really made it kind of stand out to me and a point to open your mind to different genres of music within, the rock or metal genre. So I would have never gave Ghost a chance. Here I am, 3 songs in. And yeah, I appreciate for everything they do, and I'm glad they've made their mark on this genre, and they keep going, which is impressive. They never run out of ideas, and that, like I said, is the longevity of them. Let's keep going. Of course, because all their videos are like little mini movies. So I'll let the credit where credit's due play out here. And yeah, impressive. I hope they do like a feature length film or have something to do with a feature length film, because I think if anyone, they could pull it off. All right, well, that was Ghost with Lachryma. And awesome. I think this album's going to be pretty cool. Like this song in particular, kind of stand out to me. I guess because it was a little more progressive and more grit to it, backbone. I like that. All their songs I think are unique, but they have a style, and you automatically know it's Ghost. Just like how you hear Metallica. Metallica change it up a bit, but you still know it's Metallica. That's with Ghost. They have a flair and a vibe and characteristics that make them stand out for the bunch, and that's cool. Yeah, I didn't really mention too much in the video. It's awesome. Definitely fit the lyrics, the mood. I'm not going to get into what it was about. I'm going to leave that to you guys. Let me know how you interpreted this video. Like I said, when I'm trying to focus on the details and the singing and the guitar work, I get kind of lost in translation, so I can't really comment on what it's about, what they're trying to project here, the imagery. The last one was kind of easy because it was kind of no brainer. It just I kind of a theology nerd a little bit, so, you know, this, like I said, screams goth, screams cemetery, screams all what make Ghost Ghost. So I'll let you guys inform me down below in the comments what everything's about. I'm sure what Lachryma means. Please leave that down below in the comments. Other than that, it was awesome, and I can't wait to see what else. You know, I think Skeleton's going to be, you know, decent, and I'm definitely going to keep going. I'm checking it out. Depending on how well this video does, might even do another one. I'll let you guys decide on that. All right, well, there you have it. That was Ghost with Lachryma. Awesome, awesome video, and yeah, curious to see what else they're going to be up to. Hey, look, if you made this far in the video, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you feel like supporting the channel or throwing me a song recommendation, I'll leave a link down below titled Buy Me a Coffee. You can do it through that. And other than that, my friends, thanks again for watching. See you all very, very soon. Peace.